Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. It was a normal grocery run for a blind customer and their guide dog until a stranger's angry footsteps broke the calm. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Entitled woman is allergic to my guide dog. This story's a bit old now. It happened when I still had my last guide dog, but it's one of those incidents that sticks with you. I still think it's worth sharing. Because I'm blind, I do almost all my grocery shopping at the same Safeway. It's not the closest store to my home, but it's the one I know like the back of my hand. I know where everything is, the layout doesn't change much, and the staff know me and my dog well enough that I feel comfortable there. That familiarity means I can shop independently without having to constantly ask for help. On this day, I was about halfway through my list and making my way down the cheese aisle. I was crouched slightly, running my hand along the fridge section, trying to locate the string cheese my son likes best. My guide dog was sitting calmly at my side, as he always did, waiting for my next command. That's when I heard it. Fast, heavy footsteps stomping right toward me. That sound alone put me on alert. I told my dog to get in front so he'd be positioned safely between me and whoever was coming. But before he could even finish moving, a woman's voice exploded in my direction. "Ayo, you need to keep your effing dogs away from me. I'm deathly allergic to dogs." Her tone was so aggressive it startled me. I turned my head toward where her voice was coming from. Me, excuse me? "Ayo, if you don't keep your dog away from me, I will defend myself." Now for context, my dog was trained to stay close and not approach people unless directed. He wasn't sniffing her, wasn't near her cart, nothing. She was the one who'd come barreling toward me. Me, "Ma'am, it's a felony to injure a service animal, and how exactly do you expect me to keep away from you? I'm effing blind. I can't even see you to avoid you." Her voice went up a notch. "Ayo, try me." At that point, I knew this wasn't going to be a rational conversation. I gave my dog the command to heel and calmly made my way up to the front of the store. I stopped at the self-checkout area where one of the cashiers I recognized was working. Me, "Can you please call a manager? There's a woman threatening to harm my guide dog." The cashier's voice dropped, and I could tell she was already scanning the store to spot the woman. She gave a quick, quiet description to whoever was on the radio. Within a minute, one of the managers came over. "Manager, hey, how you doing? What's going on?" I explained the situation, that a woman had approached me in the cheese aisle, was shouting about being deathly allergic and threatened to hurt my guide dog. The cashier backed me up, describing exactly what she'd seen and pointing the woman out to another manager who'd just arrived. They took it seriously right away. One manager stayed with me for the rest of my shopping trip, walking with me and helping me find the last few items on my list so I could finish up without worrying that this woman would come after us again. The other manager contacted the police to deal with her directly. I didn't see her again while I was in the store, but the manager kept a subtle watch as we went down each aisle. When I was ready to check out, he opened a register just for me so I wouldn't have to stand in line and risk another encounter. The next time I came in, one of the employees filled me in on what had happened after I left. Apparently, when the police arrived, the woman refused to cooperate. She started screaming at the officers, spit on the manager, and then spit on one of the responding officers. That was the end of her shopping trip. She was physically removed from the store, arrested on the spot, and, this part made me smile, trespassed for life from all Safeway locations, not just the one I shop at. All I'd wanted that day was to buy some string cheese for my kid. Instead, I ended up in the middle of a scene worthy of a bad reality TV episode. But in the end, my guide dog was safe, the staff had my back, and someone who thought it was okay to threaten a service animal learned the hard way that it absolutely isn't. If she's so deathly allergic, could she not have just left? Stayed away from you? Or both? Wouldn't confronting you just, get her closer to the dog? It's not like you were shoving the dog into her face or anything. And our second story. My sister and I were too loud. Enjoy living next door to a young family with babies. This happened a few years ago. My sister and I were living together in an apartment complex with lots of pensioners. She was a full-time banker. I was a student. Neither of us had any loud hobbies. She loves to read, and I play games with headphones on. Our neighbor on the same floor was a cool lady, as well as our neighbor to our left. I shared a wall with her. But nobody else in the complex liked us because we were apparently too loud and had way too many parties. Young people. We never had a single party, though. People in our complex never greeted back when we met them, and after the weekly emptying of our trash can, we had to search for hours because somebody always hid it. WTF. Once we had to get it back from the 5th floor of a neighboring building where it was hidden behind a palm tree plant. Our 2 neighbors always helped us with the stupid stuff like that and laughed at the lengths the other people in our complex went to. These ladies were great. But one day, one of them let us know that she would move out to live with a relative. The new neighbor fell in alliance with the rest of the mean ones. Around this time, my sister was offered a new job position, and I changed my direction too. So we would move out and began searching for the next renters for our apartment. There weren't many, and most of them declined after hearing about the neighbors, but there was a small family of 4 that fell in love with the apartment. We wanted them to have it, but since our neighbor was so amazing, we told her, "This young family loves this apartment, but they have 2 babies. Would that be all right with you?" She was laughing hard at this and told us she was going to move into a home for the elderly in a few months anyway, so we should just choose this family as the new renters and teach the old folks of the building what loud can really mean. So yeah, the new renters got every information about the strange behavior of our neighbors, including a map about where to best search for the trash cans, and we moved out, to the delight of our former neighbors. I still remember the look on many of their faces when we returned to hand over the key to the young family a few days later. Man, those 2 babies were loud. And our next story. Construction at 6 a.m. My peaceful revenge on complaining neighbors. A few months back, I had some construction work done on my property. Nothing outrageous, just a project that needed permits, inspectors, and a crew with trucks, tools, and the kind of machinery that makes a lot of noise. The contractor I hired was a seasoned guy. He knew his stuff, and when we signed the agreement, he told me exactly how he and his crew like to work. "We start at the crack of dawn," he said. Where I live, that means 6 a.m. sharp. The city allows construction to begin at that time, so he wasn't breaking any rules. But I'm not a monster, and I actually try to be considerate. Some of my neighbors work late shifts, others have little kids, and 6 a.m. is still firmly in deep sleep territory for a lot of people. So I asked him, "Look, could you guys start at 8 instead? That way people get a little more peace in the mornings." He nodded without hesitation. No problem. So that's how things went for the first few days. The crew rolled in at 8, worked steadily until late afternoon, then packed up. It was going smoothly. At least until I got a knock on my door. 2 neighbors stood there, arms crossed and clearly annoyed. "Hey," one of them said, "this construction's really loud in the afternoons. It's interrupting our kids' naps. If this keeps up, we're going to have to call the cops." I blinked at them. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd already delayed the project start by 2 hours, specifically to spare them from being woken up at dawn. But they weren't interested in compromise, only in complaining. So I gave them the same easy smile my contractor had given me. "No problem," I said. The next morning, I pulled the contractor aside. "Remember when I asked you to start at 8 instead of 6? "Yeah," he said. "Forget that. Go back to your usual schedule. Start at 6, finish earlier. Apparently afternoons are too noisy for the neighbors' kids." He smirked. "No problem." And just like that, the 6 a.m. wake-up calls began. By the time the sun was fully over the horizon, the crew was already in full swing. Engines revved, hammers pounded, saws whined. They made incredible progress in those early hours, and by early afternoon, they were winding down for the day. Didn't take long for the same neighbors to show up again, this time looking even more upset. "Your construction woke us up this morning," one of them said, their voice bordering on a yell. 6 in the morning is way too early." I didn't give them the satisfaction of an argument. Instead, I laid everything out calmly, almost lawyerly. "I have a legally binding contract with my contractor. All permits are approved by the city. Work hours are allowed starting at 6 a.m. Every plan is signed, stamped, and notarized. And just so you know, I have lawyers ready to deal with any further harassment." Their faces dropped. The bluster drained out of them, and suddenly they weren't so loud anymore. One of them muttered, "No problem," before they turned and slunk away. After that, the complaints disappeared. The crew kept their 6 a.m. schedule, powered through the work, and because of those extra 2 hours each day, they actually finished the job ahead of schedule. When the project was complete, I decided to celebrate. I threw a party, nothing wild, just good food, drinks, and music. I invited friends, family, and the neighbors who hadn't given me grief. As for the complainers, their invitations must have gotten lost. They sat in their houses, forced to listen to the sound of laughter, clinking glasses, and music drifting across the yard. They could see the fun from their windows, smell the food on the grill, but they weren't welcome to join. And honestly, no problem. You tried to be considerate. You gave your neighbors 2 extra hours of peace every morning, even though you didn't have to. Instead of appreciating that, they doubled down with complaints, proving they weren't after compromise, just control. That's exactly how you handle neighbors who think the world revolves around their nap schedule. Give them exactly what they ask for, and let the consequences do the talking. And our last story. Company claimed our lake house. My mom owns a lake house that's been in our family for almost 100 years. It's the kind of place you pass down like an heirloom. No mortgage, no home equity loan, no shady deals. Taxes paid in full every year. Nothing has ever been in danger of foreclosure. We mostly use it for storage and summer weekends, but I swing by year-round to mow, trim weeds, and keep the place in shape. This time, I drove out to grab some of my stuff. When I opened the door, my stomach dropped. Things were out of place, furniture moved, stuff missing. It looked like someone had broken in. I went straight to the neighbor. She didn't even blink before saying, "Oh, the bank took it." "The bank?" I asked. "What bank? My mom doesn't even owe a bank a dime." That's when I knew something was very, very wrong. I filed a police report for the missing items. Pretty much anything worth selling was gone. The officer said something about a law where if someone cares for a property for over 30 days, they can try to claim it. But here's the kicker. My mom already had a guy maintaining the property. The people who took the house had apparently turned him away. The officer warned us not to go back without permission or we could be charged with trespassing. I asked him how I still had my key if a bank supposedly owned it now. My mom doesn't even have a key anymore. I'm the only one who does. He didn't have an answer for that. We checked my mom's credit, nothing suspicious, no liens, no equity loans, nothing in foreclosure. The sergeant called later after pulling the deed. The property's still in her name, no tax sale, no legal transfer. He was as confused as we were. The next day, my mom managed to get a hold of someone at the bank who supposedly took it. They said they had never had our address in their system. The only lake property they'd ever had was a different house entirely, and they hadn't owned that in years. They sent her to a real estate company in the county, no record there either. Finally, they reached a property preservation company. That's when things got weird. The CSR sounded panicked when my mom mentioned the burglary report number. Someone will call you back, she said, and hung up. Our attorney told us to hire a locksmith. Out we went, placed new locks, and posted warnings. The locksmith told us whoever broke in didn't even have a key. They'd credit carded the back door, slapped on their own lock, and left the front door half-butted. So much for the bank had a key story. Meanwhile, our oh-so-charming neighbors took pictures of our plates while we worked like we were the criminals. Didn't call the police, just wanted to be nosy. I was starting to wonder if they were part of whatever this was. A few days later, the detective called, case solved. Turns out the property preservation company had the wrong damn house. None of the properties they actually owned out there had proper lot numbers, so they just guessed. And their guess was to break into my mother's family home, change the locks, steal things, and start renovations like they owned the place. I asked the detective if the DA was going to take it. He said they could, but suggested we talk to our attorney first. My mom's already in contract with her lawyer because this isn't just about the $30,000 in stolen property. It's about emotional damage, trespassing, and the fact they treat her like she didn't own her own house. The cherry on this moldy cake? At the next Lake Association meeting, the president announced to everyone that the no trespassing signs around my mom's place weren't real. So apparently the neighbors are just petty little busybodies who'd rather gossip than stop strangers from breaking into the property next door. The detective says the preservation company's taking full responsibility. Good for them. My mom's lawyer says we can sue for damages and pursue criminal charges. We're going for both. I'm talking felony burglary, breaking and entering, property damage, theft, and yes, disrupting the peaceful enjoyment of property. And since they use contractors who physically removed items from the home, they could be looking at additional conspiracy and theft charges. If all goes right, someone's going to be sitting in court explaining how wrong lot numbers somehow justified robbing an old family home. And with the evidence, the police reports, locksmith statements, and the property deed, it's going to be a short day for the judge. Update. All went right. Someone was sitting in court explaining how wrong lot numbers somehow justified robbing an old family home. And with the evidence laid out, the police reports, locksmith statements, and the property deed, the judge didn't waste much time. The preservation company and its contractors were found liable for damages, ordered to pay a hefty settlement, and referred for criminal investigation. Let's just say there's a good chance some of them will be swapping their work boots for state-issued jumpsuits before long. Yeah, that wasn't a mix-up. That was burglary with a clipboard. The only thing those folks preserved was their audacity. Good on you for rekeying, posting notices, and keeping the deed/tax trail tight. Textbook, own the paper, own the property. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.